Welcome to Over 40, Fabulous and Pregnant. I am your host, Jamie Massey, and you're listening to episode 85. If you are looking for pregnancy stories of women over 40, you've come to the right place. And today on the show, we have Judy on to share her pregnancy journey at 46. Judy was told by doctors she could never have kids. She was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and PCOS in high school. She even tried to get pregnant in her 20s, but it didn't work. Her first baby at 37, which she'll go into, was a miracle baby. I know so many of you have PCOS, and she shares what she believes is her secret to being healthy enough to get pregnant. I'd really love to know if any of you have tried the supplement that she was on. And this week's listener feedback comes from Callie, who is pregnant in her third trimester, and she wanted to mention her experience with the belly band that Erica mentioned last week. Callie says, I wouldn't do any of those things anymore without it. LOL. I definitely noticed the added support. I played pickleball one time a few weeks ago and forgot my band at home. I had such an uncomfortable round ligament pain that evening. Highly recommend it to any active mamas or anyone working on their feet all day. Callie, thank you for confirming that the belly band works. My doula even suggested one too, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's just one more thing to buy and only use for such a short amount of time. Maybe it's just me and I'm just cheap, I don't know. I know I should probably get one, but Callie, thanks again for your comment. I know we will be talking soon. And I am 33 weeks pregnant this week, and I am feeling every bit of it. Right now, he has the hiccups. Naps are back to my jam. Like I'm pouring hot water from the kettle, and my arm is tired. It's really frustrating because I know I have so much to do and want to get it all done. And last weekend, I got most of the baby clothes washed and put away. And this week, I purchased the car seat, which, oh my gosh, I feel so much better about. I got the Duna car seat, which folds down into a stroller. I've seen this thing everywhere, so I'm just feeling so good about the purchase. We are still needing to kind of play a little bit with it and just get it figured out with all the buttons before we actually install it. And the gestational diabetes, I think I'm figuring it out. I find it really interesting to see that when I make poor decisions, it really makes my numbers high for almost 24 hours. I mean, I'm talking poor decisions like I had chips and frosted mini wheats. At our last appointment last Monday, she put the fear in me. She said I'll have to go on insulin if I can't keep my fasting numbers down. And right now, they're only like points too high. Like she wants my insulin to be 95, and I think the highest it's ever been is I think 101 in the morning. So insulin is not an option if I can just eat right. I thought about sharing on Instagram what I eat in a day if that might be something you are interested in. And last week, we got registered at the hospital, which is just super wild. And since birth and delivery are coming up seemingly so quickly, I just wanted to remind you that I will be taking a few months off from the podcast. So there won't be any shows for a while. I do plan to pop on every so often to keep you updated and just say hi, but those really won't count, say, as episodes. And I'm not sure how long I will be taking off from the podcast because, hey, this is my first baby, and let's be honest, I have no clue what I'm doing. And I just want to take it one day at a time. That also means Instagram will be quite light in posts as I figure things out. So bear with me through that time because I'm planning some really good things when I come back. I hear quite often you like the long episodes, but Judy's story is on the shorter side, but also an awesome one. Are you ready? Let's go. Judy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
And Judy is joining us to share her pregnancy journey at 46. But before we do that, Judy, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I'm a registered social worker and a trauma therapist, and I specialize in addiction. I live in the country in Eastern Ontario, Canada, which is above New York, in case you didn't know. And let's see, I have a dog and a cat and a stepson who's 17, a daughter who's 10, and a daughter who's 3.
Awesome.
And I raised another girl, and she is 30. So
super fun. So before we started recording, we talked about where to start with your story. And I think it starts with PCOS and them telling you couldn't have a baby at all.
Yes, I was diagnosed with, actually before PCOS, I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was about 12. And it's type 2, which is very unheard of for youth to have, but I did. And then PCOS at about 16. And I was basically told I could never have children. And I did attempt in my 20s and nothing happened. And then I did a lot of therapy and a lot of work on myself. And I was super taking care of my body and taking care of PCOS. I saw Chinese herbalists to take care of it. I took a supplement called Vitex. It's like a chaseberry tree, which is supposed to regulate your hormones. And then I had hooked up with an ex-boyfriend and done all this forgiveness work. And surprise, I was pregnant at 37. I had her at 38 with my first.
So tell us a little bit more about that. Now, did you go through this healing? Was that so you could have a baby, or was there something else going on?
I had basically gotten to a point in my life where I had accepted that maybe I could look into adopting an older child. I had accepted that I wouldn't have one. So I fully believed it was impossible, although I had always done manifestation and energy work to kind of heal my body. But I had let go of the idea of needing and wanting my own. I kind of accepted that, I'm 38 now. It's probably not going to happen. I even moved to a town where I normally wouldn't have wanted to raise a child because I was like, it's cheaper housing. Why not? It's not going to happen right now.
Uh-huh.
And then when I found out I was pregnant, my sugars had been level as a diabetic and my PCOS was under control. I was regular and all of a sudden I wasn't. And my sugars went really high. And I thought, what is going on? And then I was like, I haven't had a period in 2 months. And I went and got a test. And sure enough, I took 6 more and they all of them but one came out positive. And I remember calling my friend and being like, is it possible for them to be falsely positive? And she said, usually falsely negative. I think you better go to the doctor. I was pregnant.
What were you thinking at that time when you saw all these positive tests?
Just how impossible it was because I'd always been told, no, it's not going to happen for you. Sorry. and then I felt very, very blessed and very happy. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you find a doctor? Did you just go to your regular doctor that you've been seeing?
in Canada here, we have our GPs, and then we get referrals to obstetricians if we need them. So because I was diabetic, I needed them, and I was on an incredible amount of insulin during my pregnancies, both of them. I think I got up to about 300 units a day, which I don't know if you know, but usually it would be like 4 or 5, and I was at like 300. Because with PCOS, it's very insulin resistant, and they were making me eat carbs, which of course they do. So my sugars were going high and I needed more insulin, but I'm insulin resistant. So I was doing, yeah.
Wow.
Other than that, though, my pregnancy was I felt very good. I was very healthy. Up until I had my first, I was doing spin classes 3 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah. But I did have her at 24 weeks.
Oh my gosh. And she survived at 24 weeks.
She survived. I had her she was born in a bedpan because I had a broken call button and no doctors were around. Her father delivered her and she lived for 6 minutes without intubation. And then they intubated her. And she's like my multiple miracle because she beat all the statistics and it's perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I'm 27 weeks. So it's like, wow. That's
you're past the worry. You're good at 27. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So after this one, did you want a second one or how did that kind of come about?
Well, we kind of had to get over the whole NICU experience and her health. And then her dad and I weren't really together at the time. Like we were up and down. And then she was about 5. And I said, you know what? We can't get our stuff together. So let's just go our separate ways and be civil parents. Mm-hmm. And he didn't want that. So I think we went on a trip actually and ended up back together. And on that trip, I had started to take Vitex again to clear my hormones and help my body get back in track. And I got pregnant again. But that pregnancy, I went off Vitex at 12 weeks and I had a miscarriage. So, but we ended up back together. So it kind of, it was a blessing, but it was horrible to lose it because I was 41, I think, at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then ended up, he was like, let's have another one. I was like, I don't think it can happen. And we didn't use any protection, but it was kind of like whatever happens, happens. Mm-hmm. And I was 45 and I was like, it's not going to happen, babe. I'm in menopause. I have all the signs. And then we had something to eat and I threw up and he's like, that's not a sign. And sure enough, I was pregnant. Yeah.
So what was it like experiencing these positive pregnancy tests?
It was amazing, but I was also like, yep, I went back on Vitex again. So here I am pregnant again. And it was pretty amazing. Scary, though, to be 45 and think, oh, what are people going to think? How am I going to handle telling my work? And all these different aspects of it.
Yeah. Was the miscarriage on your mind?
Not really, because I mean, it had been amazing to find out I was pregnant at the time, but also so surreal that the miscarriage, I handled it pretty well because I didn't think it was possible anyway. So I think when I got pregnant again, I knew it was going to be okay. So when we were together, we were living in a house together and everything was good. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. How was your pregnancy?
So again, around 12 weeks, I went off Vitex because everything says don't take any supplements because we don't know what they do. I had never been told about why I had my oldest Myra so young, like why she was born at 24 weeks. They couldn't figure it out. But as soon as I went off Vitex, my cervix shortened. And I had a really good obstetrician team. And they told me that what did they call it? I think it's irritable cervix or something. But anyway, because I went off the hormones, I wasn't making enough progesterone in my body because of the PCOS. So my cervix had shortened to, I think, 1.6 we're in Canada, so it very small. It's supposed to be 3 and it was 1.6. So I was at
Whoa.
risk of losing the baby. So she put me on instant bed rest. So I was 14 weeks, I think, when I went on bed rest from work.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was horrible. And then I was like, I'm going to take like I did my research and I discovered that many babies are being born while their moms are taking Vitex. So I started it again. And she put me in for an emergency cerclage, which is when they sew your cervix so the baby doesn't come out. And I was on bed rest from then on, but at 16 weeks, I had the cerclage placed. So it was like a healthy-ish pregnancy. But again, by the end, I was taking 600 units of insulin a day.
Oh, that's twice as much as your first pregnancy.
Yeah, because I went, like she didn't want to come out. I went all the way to 37 weeks with my second.
That's great.
And the doctor was like, I don't know, this cerclage is like a miracle because you're back up to 3. And I was like, yeah, I think it's the Vitex, but I didn't tell my doctors I had gone back on. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And did you have the same doctor as you did at 38?
No, because there had been like 7 years in between. They had all kind of shifted and moved around. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Did you find out the sex?
I did
during pregnancy?
Both. And both of them we kind of thought were going to be boys. But, well, the second one I kind of knew was a girl, but my husband kept saying, well, I think it's a boy. We're going to name it Wyatt. And I was like, I don't know. So my oldest, we had the name picked out as soon as we found out it was a girl. And my youngest, we had the name picked out before she was born. But,
oh, that's cool. Yeah. How did you find out?
We have ultrasounds up here very early on. And then because of my high risk geriatric pregnancy and diabetes, we had ultrasounds, I think every other week I got one. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like with the doctor in your age? Were they concerned?
So some were almost rude about it, and some were really supportive. My obstetrician was very supportive. She was really close to retiring. I think I was one of her last patients, I guess. But she was very supportive. Some of them not so much. Mine didn't really say much when I told them. So, and with my other pregnancy, the rude experience, she basically told me I didn't have any business getting pregnant. So, yeah, I left in tears and then went to a specialist from there.
Yeah.
I always had this hope that I would have this beautiful birthing experience with candles and dark and a midwife and a doula. And yeah, that didn't happen for either one, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Is there any products or anything that helped you through pregnancy?
Other than the Vitex, not really. Not that I can really think of. I mean, bed rest, it was really difficult because I'm like ADHD, so I'm constantly on the go. So I had to really slow down. So I'd play games with my children in the bed. And I actually kept seeing some of my clients just through video while I was like propped up with pillows. But products wise, I don't think so. There wasn't very many things that I was specific about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is there anything else about your pregnancy? Oh, you said before we recorded that you were pregnant with your daughter at the same time, right?
Oh, yes. My oldest, she was pregnant at the same time. So we went shopping for maternity clothes together. And it was like funny and cute. But at the same time, I was like, I can't believe this. This is so almost embarrassing, but amazing at the same time. Yeah.
And how old was she when she was pregnant?
20. She has 3. So she had her first at 18 and then I think 22 and then 25.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How fun. So they're probably really close.
Yeah.
Just bonding wise.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. They are.
How fun.
Yeah.
And how did you prepare for this baby? Because they were a little far apart in age.
Very. So the funny thing is I had given everything away, but most of the clothing and stuff I had given to a friend who has a daughter in between mine. So I got it all back. It was
Oh, how
pretty good. It worked
nice.
out. Yeah. So it was really cute to like dress this one. This one is way bigger than my first one in the clothes that the older one had already worn. It brings back a lot of memories, that stuff.
Yeah. And for your birth, what was your plan like for this one?
So I was trying to stay open-minded and not be too disappointed that I wasn't having that whole candlelit experience with this one. But I thought I would have a natural birth at least. And at the time, it ended up being 30 hours of labor where they gave me the Picton, is it called?
Oh,
It's a
Pitocin.
Pitocin, yes. They gave me that to put me into labor because I was 37 weeks, and that was always the plan.
Hmm.
And then they put the balloon inside of me, and it was like almost within a couple hours it started. So then I was in labor, and I thought, okay, here we go. I'm going to get to have a natural birth. And then they told me when I was about 28 hours in that I was 8 centimeters dilated and couldn't get to 10 because I had an irritable cervix or something, which they had said along the line because I went into labor a few times and then was sent home. And they kept saying, oh, you have an irritable cervix. And I thought, oh, haha, that's funny. But, but when the third nurse said it, I was like, okay, there's something to this. It must be an actual thing.
Hmm.
And apparently it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my cervix doesn't dilate the whole way, I guess.
Huh. So when did they cut the cerclage?
They cut it at 36 weeks. So so I could go into labor if I wanted to. And I went off Vitex at 33 weeks and started moving around a little bit more because I felt it much safer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did give me epidural.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the worst experience of my life, I think. That.
Why was it? Why?
It was so painful and it went on for so long. And I just kept saying, are you done yet? Like, you must be done yet. And please be done soon. And it was just so painful. And I think that was probably the worst of it all. And then they wanted to give that to me because my blood pressure had been high. I wasn't in the danger zone, but they didn't want me to enter the danger zone with my blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they worried about the baby being in trouble because it had gone on for so long and she just wasn't coming out, where the other one just surprise. So I ended up having a C-section at when I hit 30 hours. So, yeah.
And did you give up or were they suggesting a C-section?
They said it's time because it's not progressing any past 8. So we need to get her out because otherwise she'll be in trouble. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how was a C-section?
Not fun, definitely. It's one of the weirdest experiences, but I'd already done the cerclage, so I'd already done something really, really scary, right? And I knew I wasn't going to lose her now. It was just my body that was going to be cut open. So I wasn't as much of a risk, I guess. I wasn't as scared.
Mm-hmm.
Just disappointed.
Yeah, because you wanted a vaginal delivery.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to experience that.
Yeah.
With a healthy baby.
So walk us through going in the OR. How was that?
Going in the OR was intimidating. And I guess it was during COVID, right? So my partner could be with me because I got admitted early on. Some people didn't even get to have their partner, but he couldn't come in until I was under the anesthesia and like my body was frozen. So it's such a weird experience to be like locked in place with your arms out and then so many people around the room and I don't know what's going on down there. So it was just an odd experience for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But he's very supportive and he sat there. I think he got to cut the cord, but it's all kind of a blur. And then I remember them saying, oh, we're going to put her put her on you so you can hold her, and thinking, well, I can't even feel anything. How am I going to hold her? She's going to fall. So I remember being worried about that, and then I was shaking from the trauma of it. So,
hmm
yeah.
The medicines cause that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird experience.
Yeah. So when they put her on you, were they trying to breastfeed or just having that skin to
No.
skin contact?
Skin to skin. Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of knew I probably wouldn't be able to breastfeed, and I wasn't able to just produce enough milk. So I didn't even attempt it other than a couple times maybe. But as I said, I was on like really copious amounts of insulin. So I only got to hold her for maybe 20 minutes, and they realized that her sugars were dropping. So she got rushed into the NICU for
Oh.
that. So
Now, did you also have the steroid to help with her lungs and stuff like that? Was that
no,
necessary?
no, because she was 37 weeks. So she was good.
Okay.
My first one I did, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, what was the recovery like?
Recovery, I was just more concerned about her sugars dropping, because I'm sure I still had a little bit of trauma from my first one and all the medical experiences with her. And I remember being determined that I was not leaving her in the hospital until like she was coming home with me.
Mhm.
So the one doctor was going to release me right away. And then my doctor came around and I was like, please let me stay. And she did. So I got to stay. I think we were in there for 2 or 3 days.
Oh, that's
Well,
not bad.
no, it wasn't too bad. Well, her sugars stabilized. So
Yeah. That's really
yeah.
good.
Hmm.
About the breastfeeding, why didn't you think you could breastfeed?
Just from my body, like insulin resistance. And I had tried so hard with my other one, and I was producing like little tiny bottles of milk and pumping like 5 hours a day, while she was in the NICU. And I
Okay.
didn't want that again. I didn't want the pressure. So I was like, it's okay. I can let go of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it's because of the diabetes that
Yes.
probably, okay.
Yeah.
Is that common?
I don't know. I mean, I know some women can and are diabetic, but for my body, I
Okay.
just didn't produce the milk. And I tried everything from like the breastfeeding cookies to like the herbs and supplements you can
Mhm.
take with my first. And I just did not want that kind of pressure. We put so much pressure on ourselves as
We
women
do.
to
Yeah.
to do the perfect way. And sometimes the perfect way is just the way that works.
So how was like your recovery with like your scar and the surgery?
That one was horrible. I hated it. So I'm a little chunky, and I was huge during my pregnancy. I only gained like 25 pounds, but I was huge. Like people kept saying, are you having twins? And she wasn't big either. She was only 6 pounds. So I still don't quite understand why I got so big, but I was huge. And so I had like this gross skin flap that hung down, and nobody talks about this kind of stuff, but my scar, it wouldn't stay dry, so it got wet and then it got like infected, and it was horrible. And I was quite concerned because I had no idea. My mom passed away a long time ago. I don't really have a lot of women to talk to about what's going on. And then I did talk to a cousin who's not tiny herself, and she told me to put a receiving blanket in between. So I did, and it stayed dry and healed. But it was horrible, and I was really worried it wasn't going to heal. I don't care about the scar, really. I'm not that vain, and I don't wear a bikini. But but I was worried about it healing and carrying, especially with diabetes, right? It takes longer for us to heal.
Yeah. And mentally, how was postpartum?
I think I was pretty good with this one. I was tired. It's a lot, but I was almost, again, that feeling of surreal that I didn't think I'd have one, and now all of a sudden I have two. And there's this worry when or was for me anyway, with my second, that am I going to love her the same? Because my first was like such a miracle, right? But it was instant kind of falling in love. So yeah.
Oh, I love to hear that. Do you plan to have more kids in your 40s?
God, no. Definitely not. My husband jokes all the time, but I'm like, I got an IUD when she was, I think, 5 months old, and it's staying in as long as it needs to. No, I mean, I think I would if it had been, if I didn't have that issue with my cervix, but the fact that I had to stay on bed rest from 16 weeks on, it was, well, from 14 weeks on, it was torture for me to not be up and moving. And I missed out on so much with my oldest. So yeah, no, I don't want to have another one.
What has been your biggest challenge being pregnant in your 40s?
I mean, I guess the expected response is energy, but for me, it's given me more energy. So it kind of made me younger again. I guess the biggest challenge would be, and I don't know if this is just in my 40s though, my first didn't like play with electrical outlets or get into stuff, or, you know, she wasn't a high risk. This one will do anything and everything. And it's both amazing to kind of monitor that spirit and allow it, but such a challenge to not get frustrated, right? And moody. And, you know, she's still not sleeping all the time through the night. She's very attached. And so there's that piece of, oh my God, I have to go through another night without a full night of sleep. And I'm so exhausted. But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Is there anything you'd recommend that would help prepare someone for pregnancy and birth over 40?
Have a support team and know who to call when you need to. And also that everything is going to be okay. Yeah, that's the biggest, really. Not to panic. It's okay. I remember telling my boss, and I was so scared. And she was like, Judy, you know, I have a friend who had one at 50. You're fine. So I was like, okay. And I worried for nothing.
And what advice would you give yourself when you were pregnant if you could go back?
Just relax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just relax. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because I worried a lot.
Yeah. Now, we have a lot of listeners who are trying to conceive over 40. What advice do you have for those ladies?
Research. So not necessarily for what to do to get pregnant, but what to do to get your healthy hormones in check and your body in check. Do therapy. So I do a therapy called brain spotting. It can help clear a lot of blocks or past traumas. PCOS is directly tied to trauma. So a lot of people may have history of trauma. I definitely did. Look into Vitex because it certainly did it for me. And don't necessarily let go of the possibility, but at the same time, don't think anything is impossible because nothing is.
I love that. Would you like to tell us more about your practice and how women can work with you?
Sure. So I am a therapist and a manifestation coach, and I have a practice here in Ontario, but I can also do virtual, where I help people clear limiting beliefs and do therapy to resolve past traumas. But really, I focus on being in the present moment and making everything possible that you want, because everything is. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Would you like to share all your website and your Instagram?
For sure. Of course. My Instagram is manifestation therapy with no space. And my website is www.manifestationtherapy.com. So, and I have a newsletter that I've started where I provide some meditations, and I have a blog and that kind of stuff.
Do you do one-on-one, or is this a group coaching?
Right now it's one-on-one, but I do hope to expand into group coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And also I'm hoping to work with therapists as well to help them kind of incorporate the strategies of manifestation and the universal principles.
I love it. Judy, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
And that wraps up another great episode on Over 40 Fabulous and Pregnant podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.